Hi there, my name is Charlie Cousins and welcome to episode 3B of The Presence of Art, a series of videos helping actors and artists to create with more sacredness and soul. We're going to be continuing on with our look at envy, competition and scarcity consciousness. So stay tuned and welcome. It's actually interesting to look at lost trades, old crafts and arts that are no longer valued or no longer fashionable and have been pushed to the margins and pushed to the sides of our society. There's something really valuable to look at with those lost trades. Usually there's a bunch of people that still really love that way of working and still find that that trade, that art, that craft really valuable, and they gather together, form a collective, and there's not that single or individual approach anymore in that craft, in that approach, with that trade. Because the craft itself, that lost trade, is so on the brink of, evaporating from the consciousness of society that people start to approach it more altruistically, more selflessly. They start to really support each other, offer things for free, share things. Oh, you understand that part. Can you teach me that? And I'll teach you this. And there's much more of that communal consensus, that communal approach where we're lifting each other up. And maybe some art forms need to get to that space, where the people that are just in it for the fashion or for the vainglory or for the adulation, they walk away from the craft, and the people that are really interested in it and interested in sticking with it, they're able to be with it. But it doesn't always have to be like that. Obviously we can shift that, through our approach and through our intention and our motives of how we're approaching the craft. But there's something really valuable to look at with that. If I wasn't going to be successful in this art form, if nobody was going to know that I did the art form, if I wasn't going to seek fame, fortune and glory, and I was just doing it because there was something deeper that I loved about the art form, and it wasn't about a result, it wasn't about being recognized, about having awards and adulations. There was something deeper that I was exploring in the art form and exploring in myself. Would I still be with the art form? Would I still be interested in it? Would I still be committed to it? Or do I need the money? Do I need that success? Do I need all of those external props to fill up some sort of internal hollowness or internal brittleness? And it could be good to look at, as we approach our industries and our art forms. What would it be like to approach our craft from that place, from that place as if the craft was a dying, lost trade? And how could that shift our approach? Many people talk about how overpopulated the industry is and how few jobs there are. At any one time there might be 400 people, going for one job, and they might use that as justification to stay in that survival mechanism, to stay in that, fear-based primal mode. It's a dog-eat-dog world. I need to stay on the offensive. I need to stay on the attack. Otherwise I'll get swallowed up by the industry, chewed up and spit out. But what if that, densely populated industry, what if the popularity of the industry could be used as a positive and as a plus? What if the popularity of the industry was the potential that we needed for, another renaissance, a new depth, and the industry is, there are so many people interested in it, and such a huge amount of work happening that this groundswell builds, and we take the art form to a new height. Many people will talk about how we need funding for that, we need money for that, we need resources for that. And obviously that's true, but if we're coming from this, survival mode, this ultra competitive, get out of my way, get back, defensive mode, or if we're just pursuing the art form for the entertainment or the thrills or the notoriety, then all of that's going to limit the potential for the popularity to deepen and enrich the culture, and for a new, movement to come forth. And obviously, there's a huge amount of work that needs to happen, on every level, to bring that renaissance about. But it's interesting to ponder, what are the key ingredients that allow for a renaissance, to take place, for a rebirthing to, for that groundswell to build and that rebirthing to take shape. And I would suggest that, a lot of it has to do with that inner connection and shifting our approach to the work. If we're coming from that sense of envy and jealousy and competition and ambition and dog eat dog kind of place, then there's going to be a whole lot of glass ceilings that we place on the potential for where the art form can go. And yes, obviously a huge amount of funding is needed and support is needed, and systemic frameworks put into place in order for that to build and take shape. But I would suggest that inner space that we come from is of paramount importance. It's what's needed before the funding, in order for the funding to take stock, to take root. I mean, you've only got to look at successful people and, famous actors and singers and, who've achieved that level of, fame and fortune, and are still so miserable and self-destructive and caught up in that tortured, place, to see that, those funds and that money only takes you to a certain space. If we were to build this idea of, like a new renaissance coming, and we did create that funding and that support, and that would only take us to a certain space, to a certain level, and after that we would start to be able to see where the inner blocks were, where the inner limitations and resistances were. So why not switch it around and work on these, first, this inner connection, develop that, build that out, and let that flow out, and see what's possible. So yeah, some huge topics and avenues of exploration and discussion. Hopefully they've helped provoke and evoke some introspection, some avenues of exploration within you. And yeah, thanks for watching, and see you in the next one. Much love.